Yo, what is up, people? And I'm back with another video today. We're going to get into morbid for fun. Terrifying crimes committed on Halloween. Don't ask me why I'm talking like that, but I am. Hopefully my sounds a little bit better today. And maybe I'm looking a little bit better today. Let me know. Changing the way I'm recording and my resolution and all those lovely stuff. And my lighting, I think, seems a little bit better. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section below. We're going to get into this. I'm super excited. I love Halloween. Halloween's my favorite. This is a bit late, but we're still going to do it because I found it.
Associated with harmless pranks and spooky fun. But what if I told you that horrible crimes have been committed on Halloween night? In today's video, we talk about terrifying crimes that were committed on Halloween. Welcome back to another video, and today is a Halloween special, which is the second annual Halloween special that I've done, even though the last Halloween special was one of my biggest flops.
I remembered that one. I enjoyed it.
Performs. But all I ask from you guys is to watch the video till the end, and if you guys like it, then consider subscribing. But please like the video because it does support the channel a lot.
I've liked it already, buddy.
1959
I loved it.
Dentist prank. We have all heard of stories of candy being tampered with drugs or a razor blade. But what if I told you that in 1959, a real dentist laced candies with laxatives? On October 31st, 1959, California dentist William V. Shine
that is so crazy, guys.
Pieces of candy to children on Halloween.
I can't believe someone would do something like that. And especially if you're like a proper scientist dude or doctor or whatever.
Instead of a sweet treat,
that's
the candy
shocking,
contained aloe pills, a common laxative at that time. The children, many of whom consumed more than 30 pills, far exceeding the standard adult dose.
Yeah, I just want to check that my spacebar works.
Soon fell ill, suffering from severe stomach pain and vomiting. What was supposed to be a fun Halloween night turned into a nightmare of illness for the young trick-or-treaters. William was later charged with the outage of public decency
I didn't like that for some weird reason.
Dispensing of drugs, and got his dental license revoked for 2 years. The
Good.
death of a nun. On October 31st, 1981, in Amarillo, Texas, Sister Tadea Benz, a 76-year-old nun, was brutally murdered in her room at the St. Francis Convent. She was R-worded, strangled, and stabbed. Just 10 days later, 17-year-old Johnny Frank Garrett, who lived across from the convent, was arrested for the crime. Despite claiming his innocence,
listen, I don't know why people don't use that word. I know it's a shitty word, and I don't understand why it gets thingied. I mean, it's never a good thing to hide away from words, but basically, yeah, you know what word I'm talking about. The R word. It's so stupid. Just say the word. That happened to her. It's a terrible thing, you know, but just say it. It's what happened. It's part of life, and it's not something that's really good, but you can't hide it away from people. I hate it when people try and like remove it from history, or, you know, it's like, fuck off. It's part of life. But we learn and we move on, you know? Or, well, you know what I mean. Not in this case, but I'm thinking of other cases. Like, they tried removing, in South Africa, the All Black movement tried removing all our old statues from, you know, back in the day. And it was pretty messed up, everything that was going on. Like, I mean, I understand it was a bad history, but it was still history, and you learn from it and you move on. Don't try and hide everything and destroy everything that was done back in the day. It's stupid. But anyways, let's keep going.
Throughout his trial and the years that followed, Garrett was convicted and executed in 1999 after spending 11 years on death row. Garrett's sisters, Gina and Janet, continue to fight to clear his name. They strongly believe another man did it, Leoncio Perez, who was convicted of murdering 77-year-old Narnie Bryson around the same time in a similar manner. They believe that he is the real culprit. They argue that the similarities between the two cases suggest Johnny is responsible for Sister Ben's death as well. Jeff Blackburn, Garrett's attorney during his appeals, has maintained that while he is not entirely disputing Garrett's involvement, he believes Garrett did not R-word her. He insists that had modern DNA testing been available at the time, Garrett might have been exonerated for the R-word charge. Nevertheless, Blackburn doubts that there will ever be enough evidence to fully clear Garrett's name name, calling it a tragic unsolved mystery of the justice system. Despite the charges, Garrett's sisters remain steadfast, vowing to continue their fight to clear their brother's name. Leoncio, the man they believe is responsible for both murders, remains incarcerated, serving 45 years for Bryson's killing. Man shot at his
Check here. So that's something that I watched. What was it? It was this woman that would go to these prisons where people are sitting, waiting on death row to get executed. And it's like a week before the time that they're going to get executed. And then you like listen to like what they say. And a few of them's like, I didn't do it. You know, even at that stage, they're still denying everything about it. And they're like, it wasn't me. I don't understand why I'm even here. And that, I felt for these guys. I really did. I felt for them. I'm like, geez, like, how can you just imagine, you didn't do something. And even if you, no, not even if you did, even like if you were involved, but you didn't actually commit the crime. I think that was one of them. Like he was just the getaway driver, I think. But he didn't know that they were going to shoot people and I don't know what all. And he's on death row. Yeah. Sorry, man. Something's in my eye. Anyways. Okay, so yeah. I felt so bad for these guys. But then I'm like, I still really, and I come from South Africa, I think the death penalty should be brought back. Like, it will just scare the shit out of these criminals in our country. It's like, things are getting bad. Like, I know people that's bought a house in like a rural area, and like normally in our rural areas, like there's like petty crimes, or used to be petty crimes. I mean, I guess this was still sort of a petty crime, but anyways, you know what I mean. It was like, it's known for like small things, whatever. They literally bought this house like within like 6 months. Okay, it's been about a year maybe now, I think. Anyways, it's been broken into like 4 times. No, I'm lying. 2 times. But they've taken everything. And yes, sir. I mean, you normally think when you go into these klein dorpies, they call it, it's normally more safe, you know, and you can leave your door open during the day because no one's going to break in. But it happens here in South Africa at the moment, and it's shocking. And I think if the death penalty was still a thing, people would be shitting themselves and they'd stop it. That's just my mentality, but yeah.
doorstep.
Let's keep going.
On Halloween night in 1957, Peter Fabiano...
I don't think, did this have anything to do with... Oh, yes. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there. But basically, yeah, like sitting on death row and knowing that you haven't done something like that guy. And maybe he did do it, I don't know, but it seems like they believe he didn't and he believed he didn't. That must be the worst thing ever. Okay,
a Los Angeles hairstylist answered his door to a late night knock at around 11 p.m., expecting a trick-or-treater. He had already settled into bed with his wife Betty, but decided to answer the door, bowl of candy in hand. A moment later, Betty was jolted by a loud pop and found her husband laying in a pool of his own blood. Their daughter, Judy, alerted their police officer neighbor who called for help. Peter was rushed to the hospital where he was pronounced dead from a gunshot wound to the chest. The only lead police had was a car seen speeding away from the neighborhood after the shooting. No shell casings were left behind, and nothing was stolen from the house despite the Fabianos
I heard something in my house.
2 successful beauty salons. While the crime initially appeared to be a gang hit, there were no clear connections between Peter and any criminal organizations except for a minor charge of bookmarking from 1948. Betty, when questioned by the police, recalled thinking there were 2 people at the door, one pretending to be a woman. She was asked if Peter had any enemies and mentioned one name, Joan Rabel. Joan Rabel, a photographer and writer, had entered the Fabianos family life after her divorce and became close friends with Betty. When Betty and Peter's marriage hit a rough patch, Betty moved in with Joan. The pair's closeness alarmed Peter, as their relationship, coded as abnormal by the 1950 standards, was considered homosexual. Eventually, Betty reconciled with Peter, revealing her affair with Joan and promising to cut ties with her. Meanwhile, Joan met another woman, Goldine, a medical secretary going through her own personal struggles. Joan, heartbroken and bitter after Betty's choose to return to her husband, manipulated Goldine into seeing Peter Fabiano as an evil figure. Joan seduced Goldine, much like she had Betty, and persuaded her to kill Peter. Goldine, convinced by Joan's influence, purchased a .38 Smith & Wesson revolver for self-defense, but instead she used it to kill Peter on Halloween night, dressed up as a superhero disguise. After the murder, Goldine disposed of the gun in a storage locker. An anonymous tip led detectives to the weapon. Eventually,
These are, or not these, sorry. This is like one of my fears, eh? So starting to like get into true crime, you see a lot of like, I started watching a lot of teenager things, where like, you know, this guy and this girl start dating and he's older than her and they become rebels, and then the parents get annoyed and want to like separate them or, you know, ground them or whatever, and then the girl or whoever starts, you know, manipulating the other person into killing the parents and the family or whatever. Things like that, freak me the hell out. Almost like what's happened here, except this is adults. But like, always just like, like in fact, I've got a daughter, 17, and I told her a long time ago when she was like 16 or 15 or something, I'm like, listen here, staying away from older guys. I don't care what you say. I was like, no chance are you getting. I don't want to die to some asshole. Anyways. So that was my whole thing. Anyways, let's keep going.
leading to Goldine's arrest 2 weeks later. She confessed to the crime, expressing relief that her secret was out. Joan was arrested soon after, though she remained silent and uncooperative during the investigation, maintaining a cold demeanor throughout the trial. Both women pleaded not guilty, but later changed their pleas. Goldine pleaded insanity, claiming she had been easily manipulated by Joan, while Joan refused to comment on the case. Despite their defenses, they were convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 5 years to life in prison. Joan Rabel faded from the public eye, and though little is known about her later life, it is believed she was released around the same time as Goldine. Betty Fabiano, who had been entangled in the tragic series of events, eventually sold the beauty salons and passed away in 1999. There remains speculation about whether she had any direct involvement in her husband's murder, though no evidence ever confirmed her role. The death of Lisa Ann French. Lisa Ann French, a 9-year-old from Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, was brutally assaulted and murdered by her neighbor, Gerald Miles Turner Jr. on Halloween night in 1973. She had been trick-or-treating alone, dressed as a hobo, planning to attend a neighborhood Halloween party. Her friend, Ann Parker, had been grounded and couldn't join her, leaving Lisa to go out by herself. After stopping at a few homes for candy, Lisa made her way to Turner's house. Turner lured her inside, where he essayed her and killed her. According to his confession, Lisa stopped breathing during the assault. He claimed he tried to revive her, but was interrupted when his girlfriend arrived home from the Halloween party. Turner acted oddly during the girlfriend's brief visit, claiming he was sick before she left to visit her mother. After the girlfriend left, Turner placed Lisa's body and her clothing into separate bags. He then drove to Tachita, Wisconsin, and discarded her remains in a farm field, in an attempt to hide the evidence. Turner wore socks on his hands while handling the body
yes,
and
I want
wiped
to
down
punch him.
items like her shoes and jacket zipper. Lisa's mother became worried when the daughter missed her 7 p.m. curfew. By 10 p.m., a search party was organized to find Lisa, but the tragic truth about her fate would soon be uncovered. Turner's crime deeply affected the community, resulting in stricter trick-or-treating guidelines and the creation of Turner's Law. This law allows criminals who have been paroled or released from their prison sentences to be detained in mental institutions if they are deemed to have a substantial probability of committing another crime. The Liskey family murders.
I don't
On
know if I like
Halloween
that.
in 2000.
I don't know if I like that result. I'm just saying, oh my word, we're only halfway. I keep stopping this. I guess it's fine, eh? That's the whole point of you watching this, is to hear my thoughts. But basically, I didn't, like, that whole mental institution thing, does that even work? And what's the point of it? In case they might cause another, or whatever, do another crime? I don't know, yeah. I'm not sure if it's, yeah. Okay.
10,
Moving on.
16-year-old Devin Griffin returned to his home in Martin, Ohio after spending the night away and attending church that morning.
Sorry, I'm also a bit sick. Well, recovering. I was off work yesterday, so yeah, nose running, throat's a bit fuzzy, but yeah. Anyways, that's me.
When he entered the house, he noticed something was off. An unsettling silence. Assuming it might be a Halloween prank, Devin searched the house. But what he found was far from a joke. He stumbled upon a horrific scene. His stepfather, William Liskey, was lying in bed, covered in blood. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Devin fled and immediately called his aunt, who would then contact the authorities. Investigators uncovered the full scope of the tragedy. William Liskey's 24-year-old son, also named William, had brutally murdered his father with a claw hammer. He had then fatally shot his stepbrother, Derek Griffin, with a .22 caliber rifle before assaulting and killing his stepmother, Susan Liskey. Authorities soon tracked down the younger William at a family cabin and arrested him. He later pleaded guilty to 3 counts of aggravated murder, and in 2015, he would off himself in prison. Toolbox Killer's final victim. On October 31st, 1979, Shirley Ledford accepted a ride from 2 men, unaware of the horrific fate that awaited her. These men were Lawrence Bittaker and Roy Norris, infamously known as the Toolbox Killers. Known for their brutal torture methods, they used common tools like pliers, hammers, and ice picks to torment their young female victims in Southern California. Before Shirley, there were 4 other victims. Shirley Ledford was subjected to unimaginable torture before Bittaker and Norris dumped her body on a stranger's lawn. She became their final victim, as an acquaintance of Norris eventually tipped off the authorities, leading to their arrest. Bittaker was sentenced to death in 1981 and died of natural causes in December 2019. Norris, who took a plea deal for life imprisonment, died of natural causes in February 2020. Laced Pixie Stick. On October 31st, 1974, 8-year-old Timothy O'Brien returned home in Houston after...
Those guys look pretty, like, what's the word? Familiar. I'm so sure I've heard of them before. Anyways, they deserve worse than what they got. Crazy, man.
After a night of trick-or-treating, before sending him to bed, his father, Ronald O'Brien, gave him a pixie stick. Shortly after consuming it, Timothy began to vomit and tragically died on the way to the hospital. Ronald initially claimed that the candy had been poisoned by an unknown culprit, but further investigation revealed that he had laced a pixie stick with cyanide in a scheme to collect life insurance money he had recently taken out on his children. Ronald...
What the fuck? Did I just hear that? Holy shit. How can... Oh my...
Gave cyanide laced...
How does money make people do shit like that? Or is money just the excuse and you've always wanted to just kill people and you didn't care who it was? It's fucked up, man. So just
sticks to 5
like
children that night, which included his own. Though Timothy was the only one who consumed the poison candy. Another child came close to eating the deadly treat, but his mother forbade him from having it that night, unknowingly saving his life. After police uncovered Ronald's financial troubles and found that the life insurance payout matched his debts, he was arrested. Although Ronald maintained his innocence, it took the jury less than an hour to convict him and just over an hour to sentence him to death. Parents across the nation were shaken by the tragedy, and the case became a cautionary tale about the dangers of Halloween candy. Ronald O'Brien was executed on March 31st, 1984, 10 years after his son's murder. Egging gone wrong.
That's
On Halloween
so
night in
fucked up.
1998, what began as a typical prank quickly turned deadly. Bronx resident Carl Jackson, 21 years old, was with his girlfriend to pick up her son from a party when their car was hit by an egg thrown by teenagers. Jackson got out of the vehicle to confront the group. As he returned to the car, one of the teenagers pulled out a gun and shot him in the head, killing him instantly. Curtis Sterling, a 17-year-old, was later arrested and charged with second-degree murder and criminal possession of a weapon. He was convicted and sentenced to 20 years in prison. Jackson's mother reportedly sent Curtis a Halloween card each year with the message, "I'm glad you're still there," reminding him of the senseless loss of her son. Between 1984 and 2010, at least 24 people were either killed or seriously injured in Halloween egging incidents. But Carl Jackson's death
How does throwing an egg turn into you shooting someone in the head? I am so confused by that. Egging gone wrong. What a way to put that. Jeez, like that's the understatement of the century. From throwing an egg, the guy just saying, "Yo, cut that shit out," and then you go and shoot him in the head.
remains
Crazy.
as one of the most tragic ones. Chelsea Brooke. In late October 2014, Chelsea Brooke attempted a large Halloween party in Frenchtown Township, Michigan, dressed in a homemade poison ivy costume. The night took a sinister turn when Brooke, seen leaving the party around 3 a.m. with an unidentified man, suddenly vanished without a trace. For 6 long months, her disappearance haunted the community. As a massive search ensued, with over 1 million leaflets distributed in hopes of finding her. In April 2015, those hopes were shattered when Brooke's remains were discovered in a remote wooded area in Ash Township, roughly 12 miles from where she was last seen. Among the evidence recovered was DNA on part of Brooke's Halloween costume, which would lead police to Daniel Clay, a Newport, Michigan man with a criminal past. Clay was arrested in July 2016 after DNA evidence confirmed his connection to the crime. Initially claiming that Brooke's death was accidental, Clay confessed to having consensual sex with her, during which she allegedly asked him to choke her. According to Clay, she stopped breathing. And
I remember the
despite his
story. I've
attempts at
watched it before.
CPR, he couldn't revive her. Panicking, Clay drove around for nearly an hour before dumping her body in the woods and covering it with tree branches. Despite Clay's attempt to spin the story, an autopsy revealed that Brooke had died from blunt force trauma. His explanation fell apart and Clay was charged with first-degree murder. In May 2017, after a lengthy trial, the jury found Clay guilty and he was sentenced to life in prison in July of that year. Rebecca Gay. Rebecca Gay, a 24-year-old single mother from Michigan, had decorated her home with scarecrows and was eagerly preparing to take her 3-year-old son, Conway, trick-or-treating on Halloween night. But on October 31st, 2012, she never showed up for work, prompting a concerned coworker to visit her home. Her car was soon discovered in a nearby bar parking lot, but Rebecca was nowhere to be found. When her landlord let investigators into her house, they found her purse, a recently cleaned carpet, and signs of a struggle. The search quickly intensified. Police interviewed Rebecca's boyfriend and other close acquaintances, but cleared them of suspicion. Among those interviewed was John White, a 55-year-old minister dating Rebecca's mother, Sally. He often watched Conway and claimed everything was normal the morning Rebecca disappeared. Detectives noticed a cut on White's nose, but he explained it away, saying that a shelf has fallen on him at his home. However, the case took a very dark turn. When detectives dug into White's past and learned of his violent history, a polygraph test and search of his truck revealed damning evidence evidence, a broken necklace and blood, confirming suspicions. White eventually confessed to murdering Rebecca after drinking heavily and fantasizing about necrophilia. He admitted to entering her home, beating her with a rubber mallet, and strangling her with a cable tie before assaying her. White
Listen, yeah, I don't want to say it, but ministers really don't help them out, eh? Or am I getting the wrong minister? Is this not the ministers that I'm thinking of?
discarded Rebecca's body in a ravine and moved her car to mislead the police. Her remains were found and an autopsy confirmed ligature marks and evidence of assault. White pleaded guilty to second-degree murder in March 2013 and was sentenced to 56 years in prison. Just 4 months later, he would off himself in his jail cell. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel, and if you like this video, you will for sure like this one right here, which is last year's Halloween special. Might as well promote that video since we're in the Halloween spirit. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. See you guys.
Cheerios, buddy. Again, go subscribe to Morbid for Fun. I like his videos. It's like a yeah, some interesting cases there, some messed up ones. What's necrophilia, by the way? Let me quickly Google this. Necrophilia. Necrophilia is a paraphilia or sexual interest or act involving a corpse. I thought that's what it was. Messed up. And also a minister. What is a minister? Just double checking these things for the fun of it. A minister is a member of a cabinet. You see? But then isn't there other ministers? Like a minister. You get different kinds of ministers. You see, this is what I was thinking. A minister in the church. This is what I was thinking in my head. A minister is a Christian leader who serves in the church. That's what I'm guessing he was. We don't call them ministers here. We call them pastors. Yeah, they really don't give themselves or help themselves out ever. so stupid. Anyways, guys, I really enjoyed that video. Let me know what you thought in the comments section below. My next video, I'm not going to spoil, but you guys must watch it. I'm going to be recording it and uploading it soon. It's about Ouija boards. I'm so excited. Can't wait for you guys to see that one. Yeah, and if you're if you enjoyed this video, leave me a like. Share it. I don't know. Do those lovely jubblies, you know. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. I don't actually know how to exit my videos. What do I normally say? Love ya. I really don't know what to say. Cheers, guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.